group of three. Shall I introduce all my colleagues?
Yes, please.
Or you can introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Frances.
And I'm Fabrizio, the one who's holding the camera at the moment.
Well, Kirsty set us this challenge this morning. I'm meeting on a very wet and cold morning in Manchester, and we were selected as three. The others are just in a group of two, and we had to think about some difficult topics that we were going to talk to students about over the next couple of weeks. And we had to think about how we could maybe do that in a creative way and to help them to understand those difficult concepts.
And then?
And then we shared our ideas about the difficult concepts that we had, and when we did that, we discovered actually there were some similarities around those concepts, mainly to do with culture and also to do with people's prejudices and perceptions. And so we set about gathering articles that perhaps explained or typified the cultures that we were trying to describe, like typical British culture or something typically British, or Fabrizio for something typically Italian, and that's how we got together our memorabilia.
Which are?
Which are?
We've got Thomas and Friends, very smiley, and another smiley Freddo,
An apple.
an apple.
And a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee, really,
Or
really
even a cup of
important.
coffee. Yeah.
Cup of real coffee,
Pretend-
cappuccino. So, oh sorry, you're eating your shortbread. But so we started off with your project, didn't we? With your
We did.
lecture, yeah.
I wanted, I'm going to be able to teach students about trying to understand that we all have prejudice and values and beliefs, and whilst most people would say that they don't allow those to influence how they see people or how they interact with people, I want to demonstrate that actually you do. It's natural, it's something that we all do. And Fabrizio came up with the idea that actually I had earlier on talked about Wallace and Gromit, and he didn't know what Wallace and Gromit was. In Italian culture, nobody would know what Wallace and Gromit was. So we decided to go and look for something about Wallace and Gromit. And on our journey, we actually came across Thomas. Fabrizio said actually he'd never heard of Thomas the Tank Engine before he came here, and now his nephew's interested in Thomas. And interestingly, I have a lot of fond memories of Thomas because my two boys have grown up and we read all the Thomas the Tank Engine books and we've watched a lot of Thomas the Tank Engine. But Fabrizio actually felt that Thomas's face, looks quite menacing.
It
So
does! Look at those eyes. I don't want to know what kind of drugs this person is in.
So we felt that it's an interesting thing within someone's culture, but it can have lots of different meanings for different people. So that was about why we picked up Thomas.
So, how are you going to use those artifacts for your lecture? What's going to happen though?
I'm not entirely sure at the moment, apart from maybe to bring Thomas into the room and say, what is it? What's this about? And some people in the room may say, I've never seen him before, I don't know what he is. Maybe if people do know Thomas and recognise him, or James, about whether they have happy memories or it's fond memories, or whether they hate it, or what associations there might be there.
Yeah.
Just from Thomas, there might be different associations.
Great. And then we kind of moved on to your lecture, didn't we?
We did, and my lecture around spinal pain, and what I'm very keen to get across is that there are many common myths about the management and the treatment of spinal pain, and a lot of those are based on no fact foundation or evidence. And so we thought of some common myths, like an apple a day, keep the doctor away, or that chocolate is maybe or may not be good for you, and we made a couple of videos where we convinced Fabrizio on the two that one of each of these were good for him, and that's what he should do for a week, and then he could lose weight, and that would be to challenge the students about which of those were true.
Yeah.
And in fact, probably neither are true, but they are different myths and perceptions that people might have.
So do you intend to show those videos in your
Yes, because I
lecture?
want the students to think about what they say to patients with spinal pain, and whether that's actually stopping them doing the thing that they should be doing just by what they say and what the patient's interpretation of
And
what
you
they say
mentioned
is.
swimming, didn't you?
Yeah, but I mentioned one common myth is that swimming is harmful if you've got back pain, and that's based on no foundation. And
Yeah.
that's what a lot of patients believe, and that's what a lot of patients get told.
And I think that kind of triggered our line of thought that we could use common elements like chocolate and apple to, kind of as a metaphor for swimming or for the other actions, isn't it? So that's where it came from. And then, in the end, it's me.
Yeah.
My lecture in a week's time for year 2 is going to be about how to write a CV in Italian and what are the elements that an employer in Italy would look for, perhaps more than in the UK or other countries. One of them is education. I think there's a strong stress and focus on education in my country, and it's certainly one of the elements that pop out in an employer's eye. So we were thinking around this concept, and we came up with the idea of what could be a culture-bound term or idea that could come up in an English CV as compared to an Italian CV. One of them is definitely A-levels. And we don't have A-levels in Italy, so we thought, what are we going to do with it? But then I can't remember who. One of us came up with the idea of showing a uniform, which again is not something that we have from 10 years upwards in Italy, but whereas in the UK you have to wear a uniform for longer than in Italy. So we came up with the idea of taking a picture in the Arndale Centre of a picture of a small child wearing a uniform. So in our case of our picture, a small girl wearing a uniform with a tie, and me making this weird puzzled face to the camera. So obviously all those materials will be uploaded onto our little Flick website, and you can see them, and we'll share them. And that was it. I think
Very good.
it was really interesting and stimulating.
Bye.
Bye.